proud that my ops didn't envy me. Passing it off like CP3. Shawty, she calling me MVP. I be on time and something you ain't never seen before. They call me the Dama, really want my whole team to score. Damn, yeah, too icy, yeah, too clean, yeah, my zone, yeah, 2-3, yeah, got shooters that hit from deep, bust like Giannis, yeah, too mean. Bright lights like we at the garden, on P, don't get me started. Whole team walk in me the party. If I can't make the play, I'ma lob it. If you jump, that's right on your head. Had to put him to sleep, go to bed. I'm a star, drop 50 and left. From the logo, like I'm Steph. Put it up, knock him down every time. Going hard like my life on the line. Catch me on the course, I would've down. Never losing, I put it on mine. Had to get out my shell, I've been laying low. They get real when it comes to the playoffs. You fight with me, know it's a KO.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
Our head coach of our Lobo football program, Bronco Mandel.
The details themselves with the right preparation can separate you from mediocre competitors that don't do that. And so, yeah, the attention to detail, I think, drives the execution, or should I say brings the execution to life, especially in critical moments.
Ladies and gentlemen, from La Casa de los Lobos, the Pit, here at the University of New Mexico, let's get ready to rumble!
Triple hey for you. My name's Ryan Tamori. Welcome to the Pit Press Live. It's August 15th. We're 9 days away from Lobo football week 0. And there are 3 other games that day besides Montana State at UNM. Quiet show to start off. And I'll get to the usual suspect that always joins me, and I appreciate his time tonight. Going to be talking around the Mountain West tonight. So, Stephen Dubois, I'm sorry. These are 2 teams that UNM plays this year. The keyword is UNM. At 8:15, one of my favorite reporters around the Mountain West Conference that I love to talk to, Jason Turner. He is the Utah State football beat writer for the Herald Journal in Logan, Utah. And then about 8:45-ish, had this gentleman on my podcast and radio show before, Ryan Thorburn. He comes from the Casper newspaper in Wyoming, which I forget the name of. I think it was a Casper Star-Ledger. He is now the director and communications and creative strategy for WYO Athletics. We will get his thoughts on the Wyoming Cowboys. A lot of things going on in Logan, Utah, and not good. And I have to revert to my manual. October 19th, Utah State hosts New Mexico, and on September 30th, on November 2nd, UNM travels to Laradice. Want to thank our sponsors, Hydrobar, Affordable Service, Affordable Solar, Turquoise Desert Taproom, which we will be live at next Thursday, 7 p.m. giveaway, 2 season tickets. Turquoise Desert Taproom is on 528, a hop, skip, and jump away from Santa Ana Star Hotel and Casino. As I say, go make a bet there. Go watch it at Turquoise Desert Taproom. Have a fine meal and have a beer and watch your bet win. As always, I am joined by no Richard tonight. Richard. He had father duty calling. He had not a parent teacher conference, but like orientation, so he could not join us. Eric is on father duty. I'm going to gather your son Nick is on father duty. Mm-hmm. My son is contemplating the world in deep thought, which scares all of us. I'm joined by a Lobo fan since 1970 and the voice of the Western New Mexico Mustangs, Mr. Ed Nunez. Ed, how you doing tonight?
You know, Ryan, I'm doing well, and I wanted to compliment Eric Moulton again on the intro and the opening. It's amazing. He does great work for us behind the scenes. You know, he's also a co-owner with you, and it was your guys' idea to bring the Pit Press podcast to life. And if I don't give Eric enough credit, when I look at the intro, he is always adding new things to it. The morning howl or a morning show on Saturday, I was really watching that. He's done a great job. So I definitely want to give Eric a big shout out.
Yeah, it looks great. And I didn't even mention the Morning House Saturdays during football season. It's a UNM football pregame show. I understand that it's called the Pit Press. We started last Saturday. We will be going live again this Saturday. We will also have an interview with Gloria Navarez, who is the Mountain West Conference Commissioner. We'll play that Saturday morning for you. We could not get her live. It's just one of those people we couldn't do. Muy importante. So check us out, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Before Ed's joining me at the beginning of the show, before we get to Jason Turner, and we've had a lot of former UNM football players on. Mike Mahoric, Ben Weiss on, Cole McCamey, Curtis Flakes II from last night. By the way, Ed, I just got an email that I sent it to his wrong email 24 hours later. Go figure. The link for our show. Yeah, I'm thankful it informed me now. Ian Clark, you name it, we've had guys on that have played for the program and played for some of the program's heyday. But you texted me because we were trying to figure out something to talk here in the opening before I got to tonight's guests. And that was, what have we thought about what they think about the Bronco Mendenhall hire? And the consensus seems to be that Bronco Mendenhall is the right man for the job. And Ed, you posed the question. I'm going to throw it your way. What have you gathered from all the guests we've had on who played for the program?
Right. And, the other one was, you named them all, and then Landrick Brody. And I think all of them together.
All right.
He wasn't the head. Yeah, he wasn't the head coach then. Defensive coordinator. Each one of them. If you asked each one of them what they thought, Curtis Flakes last night. I love Coach Flakes because he's wearing the St. Pius shirt, and you and Rick and my son, all Pius guys. I went to Pius 1 year. A lot of Pius background. My brother and sister graduated from there. And he said the same thing. It was a home run hire. Coach Brody, I think one of the things that, Landrick Brody, they're both head coaches now themselves. Curtis Flakes at St. Pius, Landrick Brody at West Mesa. They both said the attention to detail. They both said that. If you remember what Landrick Brody said, starters were fighting each other to be on the kickoff return team, starters. And that's at a time where kickoff returns are, they're changing the rules. You saw the pro rules. Now they're changing kickoff return rules. That time, starters to be on the kickoff return team, going down, kamikaze and man, taking blocks at 100 miles an hour. So I think that told me a lot. And plus, listening to Coach Brody at West Mesa, listening to what he said about the attention to his coaching detail, the fundamentals, to do it again, repetition. And I said that to Coach Flakes last night. Does a coach like that, can it make a difference in wins and losses? And obviously it can. So I think all the guys we talked to, you heard Ian, you heard Mike Mahoric, you heard all of them, you heard every one of them. Not one of them said one. In fact, Curtis Flake said it was a home run, a great hire. He didn't say if. I asked him, can Coach Mendenhall turn it around? There's no question. It's not a question of if, it's when. That's how confident he was. So I think that should give Lobo fans reasons for optimism. It certainly does me. I've had to kind of temper my enthusiasm a little bit, but I'm a lot more stoked. Then after hearing those guys, I think that gives me a lot more enthusiasm.
Yeah, listen, and then did I mention Cole McCamey? I forgot. Man, we've had a lot of Lobo football players on the last couple weeks. Interviews we've had at practices, which have been very tight-knit. Michael Cooper finally had his jersey retired and hung from the rafters today by the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm going to have to double check that. It's not that I don't trust you, Jimmy. I mean, really, no, I don't trust you, Jimmy H. But I feel like that's something they would probably do during the season. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, I could be wrong on that. NBA is not my cup of tea anymore. Especially if you watched the playoffs this last year where you had to gouge your eyes out. Everything that I've taken away from the players that we've listened to, I think that the overall consensus is Bronco was a fantastic hire. I'm still on the lines of it could be 0-12 and 7-5 because 60 new players, and regardless of what Vegas says, it really doesn't matter. But if I were a gambling man, which I am, to go from 4.5 points to 9, the sharps know somebody, the bettors know something. That's astonishing to me. So it's I don't know. It boggles my mind. I think that this year is the mulligan for Bronco Mendenhall. I think he's fully aware of it. And we're less than 9 days away now from them kicking off the season against Montana State. And whoever's bright idea was it to have it at 2 p.m. in Albuquerque, New Mexico on August afternoon.
Yeah,
looking forward to it. I will hopefully be there. Go ahead, Ed.
I think you're, I understand your pessimism. I understand that where the program has been 60 new players. But if you, one of the players that we've talked about is Donovan Dampier. I think that's a dynamic quarterback. I think it's a guy that New Mexico's been looking for. He got some snaps last year and produced. I think people are excited about him. The running back room is deep. I think they've got some running backs there that can move the chains. I'm excited about Luke Wysong coming back. They've got some other transfer receivers that should make some plays. So that's on defense, we talked to Gabe Lopez. He said he thought they would be able to put more pressure on the passer. They struggled with that last year. Noah Avenger, the new cornerback, seems to be someone in the secondary that maybe will make makes the plays. Do you remember what Glover Quinn kept saying last year? Glover Quinn, God, he had me laughing, man. He would say, "Hey, I looked at number 0 and they ain't made no plays, man." And it's about making plays, right? He had me, and you know what? Glover Quinn led the NFL in interceptions with 14 in 2015 or 2014. So when he kept saying that, in other words, hey, that guy may look good, but he ain't made no plays. So I think the Lobos that's what it's about, making plays. The first game we mentioned, they're going to be tested with Montana State's running game. Montana State returns 5 of their offensive linemen. It's going to be a test across the line of scrimmage. That's where games are won. And that's where I'm kind of anxious to see is New Mexico, if they improved across the line of scrimmage, and can they stand up? Montana State, we mentioned, you said that. They're FCS. They're favored by 9, jump from 4 to 9, and that is unusual. But I'm anxious to see the New Mexico, how they respond to their first test. And it's a test. It's not a throwaway win like Maine was a couple of years ago. So it's going to be a test for New Mexico, no doubt. No doubt about it. It's going to be a test.
All right. Before I get to our first guest of the night, Mr. J, I'm going to kill that joke. You know what? I'm just going to save that joke. Forget it. Anyway, the Lakers, 5-time champion, defensive specialist, Showtime Coop, 113.25. We will raise Michael Cooper's jersey in the rafters amongst the great. Ed, I got to get your thoughts on that then. So no, it wasn't tonight. It's January 13th.
I'll tell you one thing,
Jimmy H.
I'm a big Laker fan, and Jimmy.
Yes,
Jimmy's one of our biggest fans, on no question about it. One of our biggest listeners, and we appreciate his support. But I got to say one thing about Coop. Even when he was here with New Mexico, a shutdown defensive guard. John Wisnett was in charge of the defense then. Norm Ellenberger was the head coach, but John Wisnett was the defensive mind. And Coop, long, rangy. Oh, I got to tell you this quick story. Let me tell you this real quick story. So Petey Gibson, we had him on our Lobo Legend series, Petey Gibson. And so Petey's telling me, I love Petey. If I put a quarter in Petey, he'll talk basketball, and I stories for 2 hours. So he's telling me one time they're all playing all the ex-Lobos, and he's a little bit older, at West Mesa years ago. And Petey was lifting at Gold's Gym at that time. Petey's buff, man, at that time. He's really strong. And he told Chester Fuller, the late Chester Fuller, who passed away about 8 months ago, hey, bring Coop over here. I'm going to set a pick on Coop. Coop was playing in the game. And he said Coop went right through him and knocked the air out of him. And believe me when I tell you that Petey was not a weak guy at all. So that tells you that Cooper going through picks at the NBA level, right? Long, rangy. Larry Bird said his imaginary games in the backyard against French Lick at French Lick, Indiana, it was always against Cooper. Michael Cooper played that tough defense. 6-man, 3-point shooter, the decent ball handler. He came in to relieve Magic Johnson. He's not a great ball handler, solid backup point guard. The 87 finals, I believe he hit 3 or 4 3-pointers, to really seal the deal for the Lakers. So I got to be honest with you. I didn't know if his stats overall offensively would get him in the Hall of Fame. They did. And now his jersey is going to be retired. It's a great moment for the Lakers and a great moment for the New Mexico Lobos, ranked 4th in the nation in 1978, a heartbreaking loss to Fresno State in Tucson. My most heartbreaking loss as a Lobo fan. It really was. Everybody had tickets to the regionals that were going to be here at the Pit, and no way New Mexico loses if they come to the Pit. Next week, you went to the Pit and tried. You couldn't give those tickets away. I remember. But you know what? San Francisco, UCLA, and Arkansas, you got to see some great basketball. It's so, you know what? Kudos to Michael Cooper. He was just in town a couple of weeks ago. They had a gathering for former Albuquerque High head coach Jim Holzman and Albuquerque High assistant coach Abe Estrada. And Ron Estrada, who used to coach at Albuquerque High, wanted me to be there, but I couldn't because the Highland Hall of Fame was going on. So Michael Cooper actually came into town to honor Coach Estrada, who helped him out. Helped him at the Los Angeles Sparks. He had Coach Estrada. He'd take him to the Los Angeles Dodger games, put him in the booth. So, Michael Cooper showed up for Abe Estrada a couple weeks ago, and I thought that was great. Didn't mean to go on that long ramble, but I had a lot of memories of Coop, man. I really did.
No, it's all right. I don't know. Me, I know my history, Ed. I don't know if he's worthy. It's the argument where I wouldn't have probably known if he was worthy for the the jersey retirement, or yeah, I gotta get in this. Went to Isleta Casino. You are not allowed to bet on teams from the area.
Really? Didn't know that.
I will say, yeah, you can't bet on UNM or NMSU in the state. It's a rule. And I will explain how I gamble on the show. Anyway, I was just going to say one final thought, Ed. With him getting into the Hall of Fame and his number being retired by the Lakers, and I'm saying this because you know what kind of fan I am, and I'm probably going to piss off a lot of people before we get to Jason Turner. It's just not always my view, and it was before Eli Manning. It's just not your numbers. Can you write the history of the NBA without Michael Cooper? He's a big factor of the Showtime Lakers. I would say you throw that in there. That's a conversation for another time, Ed. I want to appreciate you joining me for the first 15 minutes, but I don't want to keep my first guest waiting. Ed, I will talk to you later. I will talk to you Saturday morning. Go ahead.
Thanks, Ryan. Take care, man.
No problem. All right. I want to get to my first guest because he's been waiting, I believe, 8 minutes. He is the Utah State football beat writer for the Logan Herald Journal. And this is the first time I've been face to face with him. And in my conversations, he is a very funny guy. I'll refrain from my profanity there. But you know what I'm going to hit you with, Mr. Jason Turner?
No, this is Turd Ferguson.
What was that?
I said, no, this is Turd Ferguson.
Did you say you were Turd?
That's Turd Ferguson.
Yes, Rusty Shackelford. God, it is a funny name. Funny name, huh? I think I appreciate Turd Ferguson. I don't know why Rusty Shackelford popped in my name, but I hope you can appreciate that, or any other alias. But you can change. I can change your name to Turd Ferguson on there. My listeners won't listen or won't care, and I would appreciate it. How are you doing, sir?
No, I'm a little stuffy. We don't have air conditioning in our house, but otherwise pretty good.
Trust me, I know about that. It's terrible. We have a thing called swamp coolers in Albuquerque, and I've been running. I didn't turn it on. I've been running 2 portable AC units in my house, so I feel your pain. And they do their job, but they're loud. So
definitely happens.
But anyway, it's been quite the summer for Utah State football. I guess if you can, I'm aware of it. I was at Mountain West Conference Football Media Days at the beginning of July, and Nate Drilling was there. And about a week prior, or maybe 10 days earlier, Blake Anderson had been fired. What is the mood around the Utah State athletic department and the football program right now?
I think it's pretty positive, honestly. I've been doing positional previews. I started doing them last week. I've interviewed 6 of the coaches now, and they had a scrimmage last Saturday. The players actually came into the stands afterwards and gave people fist bumps, shook people's hands, and actually some of the players even gave their gloves out. My son was there because my wife was working, and so I'm like, what the hell? I'll just bring him to the scrimmage. And he got a glove from one of the players, and so that was unexpected. But I think the vibe's been pretty good. They offered a preferred walk on a scholarship yesterday, did a video package on Twitter or X, whatever it's called right now. But I think Coach Dreiling is doing everything he can to try to keep the positivity within the program.
I refer to it as Twitter, or excuse me, X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, whatever Prince did in like the late the late 90s. We had the privilege of talking to safety Ike Larson, who is probably an NFL caliber player. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong and stupid on that. He was a pleasure to talk to at Mountain West Conference Football Media Days. We need to get that interview out if I could put my thoughts together. He seems to have a sense of leadership. He's all Mountain West Conference player. It seemed like nobody could transfer, but because I think the portal was closed when all of this happened. But
yeah,
if you've talked to him, I mean, he seemed to portray a plethora of positivity and energetic. And it's not like this Utah State program was desolate. I mean, it was 3 years ago, but they were Mountain West Conference football champions. But can you talk about him and what kind of player he is and what kind of leader he is?
I mean, I think he's really developed into a good leader. I've known Ike for a while because he's a kid from Cache Valley. He played 3 years at Logan High School, which is about 4 miles away from Utah State campus. And then his senior year, he was at Skyview, which is only about 8 miles from Utah State campus. So he's a kid. I don't cover a lot of high school football. I do watch some games on live streams, but I'm not there. I'm not there a lot in person. Somebody has to be at the desk on Friday nights, but I've known who Ike Larson was since he was a sophomore in high school. He's definitely matured over the years. The guy, he just does everything. He can do a little bit of everything, whether that's make a physical tackle, break up a pass, intercept a pass. Of course, everybody knows he can block punts and kicks. So yeah, just a very versatile playmaker. In high school, he never left the field. He played offense, defense, and special teams. So I'm not too surprised that that's transferred over. That's translated at the next level. But they definitely try to utilize him in about every way they can, except offensively. They haven't really done that yet.
Maybe they can on him. No, he was a pleasure to talk to. I really, and it seemed like, given everything that had just transpired, it wasn't kind of like an aw shucks, so woe me. It was like, I'm going to go out and play football. Nate Drilling is kind of familiar to at least Lobo fans. He comes from New Mexico State. He was the D coordinator last year. Jerry Kill did a fantastic job in his 2 years there. He was dressed pretty snazzy, as if he was a CEO or yes, we met business in Vegas. I am now starting to sound like an old man because I am 2 years, or I think I'm the same age as him, or I'm getting him and Spencer Danielson considered. Spencer Danielson is 35. I think I'm what, Deerling's 33, or am I making that up?
No, he's 33. I've got 13 years on him, so you can't feel old, because that's just unacceptable. You're not in your mid 40s yet.
No, I'm not in my mid 40s. I'm 3 years away from the prostrate exam. Does he that joke either hits or it crashes and burns? And I did it on the show of a company I own. So there you go. I'm sure my business partner will be real happy about that. What can you do? What have you taken away from? You're one of my favorite reporters to talk to. What has he? I mean, how has he handled the transition? He's not just. Is he still interim head coach? I didn't look that up, but how has he handled the transition of taking over this position? It basically was just thrown at him.
Yeah, he is the interim head coach. I think he's handled it pretty well. I don't know. You talked to him at Mountain West Media Days. You might have heard that when he got the call from athletic director Diana Sabal. He was actually with his wife vacationing in Ireland. They were at a pub ordering dinner at Ireland. His wife overcame cancer pretty recently. She had cancer when they were in Las Cruces, finished her treatments in Logan, and then they were basically celebrating her being cancer-free at the time. So it was just kind of a whirlwind for him. They came back on Monday. He talked to his team for the first time, and then he was on a plane to Las Vegas 2 days later. So I think I haven't been front and center with him, but it seems like he's handled the situation about as well as one can.
You're celebrating your wife being cancer-free, then you're the head coach of a Division I football program for somebody that got fired, I guess, for violating Title IX. I don't want to say anything incorrect because I don't understand it. I understand why Blake Anderson got fired, but the whole thing, the situation there. I don't want to, and I'm kind of backpedaling it. Those comments that were made in 2021, Blake Anderson said it was, it was like not a badge of honor that for a woman to have, come out with sexual assault. I forgot what he had said, but it seemed like he kind of bit his tongue a lot there. And I know I'm backtracking from football, but with the whole thing that happened with Blake Anderson, you covered him. I don't want to ask if you're shocked, but it seemed like it was going down a deeper rabbit hole, and then there was a deeper problem within the Utah State athletic program. Can you elaborate on that a little bit with that piss poor question I just asked?
Well, I think there's been a little bit of a black eye on the program for a while because you had the whole Torrey Green situation. He would have been a senior. His last year would have been 2015, and he did get convicted of rape several different women there. And so I think I think the black eye started well before Blake Anderson arrived here. Obviously, I know what you're referring to. I think I forget exactly what he said, but glamorized. It's never been. I don't know how exactly
it was glamorized.
I honestly think he was kind of. I understand what he was trying to say. Obviously, it was a very poor choice of words. I think the point he was trying to get across to his team is that you better be careful in the decisions that you make. You better, if you're gonna, you better get someone's permission, or you better be lucid when you're making decisions. I think that was what he was trying to portray, and it just it obviously didn't come across very well. So I don't know. Then there was geez, I'm trying to think of names now. Everything is kind of a blur right now. So yeah, there has been kind of a cloud, in a sense, maybe hanging over the program for a while.
No, I remember Torrey Green, and yeah, Blake Anderson said that he quote this is the headline. Sorry for your competitor here, but the Salt Lake Tribune headline is USU football coach apologizes for saying it's quote glamorized to be a victim. That's what he said. Somebody had told me he said badge of honor, and it just stuck in my head, and I was like, to say that phrase, holy moly, if it was badge of honor. But next
level.
Bad, not to, we're going from the double homicide to the jet skiing. Say that again.
I just said, yeah, that would be new level boneheaded thing to say. So I'm glad nobody said badge of honor.
Yes, no, it very, very would be. No, I thank God it wasn't, because I said it. I wasn't trying to. I said it when he got fired when we were talking on our show, and I was like, "Dear God, I don't want to put words in the poor man's mouth, even though he just got, because he just got fired." I'm doing the news, the television news segue from double homicide to the jet skiing squirrel, but back to football. You get Spencer Petrius at quarterback, who was at the juggernaut offensively known as Iowa. He transfers over to Utah State. I heard good things about him at Mountain West Conference Football Media Days. What have you seen out of him? And obviously he's got somebody like a Jalen Royals to throw the ball to.
Yeah, you know what? I actually haven't seen him personally a lot. Spring practices were closed. Fall camp practices have been closed too. I did see him during, they had, to conclude spring camp, they had kind of a scrimmage, but it was really a glorified practice. I did see him at the scrimmage last week. Coach Dryland has also raved about him. He thinks he has, I don't know how he phrased it, but arm talent off the charts, basically, is what he said. And I think, I don't know. He was a record-setting quarterback in high school where he grew up in California. I want to say he threw for 4,000 yards and like 40, 50 touchdowns. So, it'll be interesting to see how well he plays away from the juggernaut of Iowa offensive football. But I don't know. We're going to find out real quickly. But I can't honestly say I've seen him a lot because everything's been closed. So
I'm going to tell you a story. It's how we feel here at UNM with Bronco Mendenhall. I feel for Sean Ryder at the Albuquerque Journal, because I think in the last 2.5, 3 weeks, he's probably seen a whopping combined, this is just in my mind, a combined 2 hours of practice when you put everything together. So I'm like, I don't know how you be a beat reporter. And I've made this joke a million times on the show, but I want you to hear it. Apparently it sounds like Utah State and UNM have this plans to the Death Star, or they're invading Normandy. So they don't want anybody to know. The kind of wide receiver that Jalen Royals is, it sounds like, Ike Larson. I'm not an NFL scout. Again, just everything I've heard, he's probably, an NFL talent. What can you say about Jalen Royals and how much he means to this offense?
I definitely think I think Ike is an NFL talent. It'll be interesting to see if he gets drafted. I definitely think Jalen Royals will get drafted, especially if he strings together back-to-back good seasons. But I mean, the guy has blazing speed. He came to camp. It would have been 2 Junes ago. Didn't have a scholarship offer. Played junior college football for a predominantly running team. Had like, I don't know, 8 to 10 catches his freshman year of college. So nobody really knew who he was, but he came to a Utah State camp and his like measurables were off the charts. Like they clocked him at he ran 240s under 4.3, like 4.28 and 4.29, something like that. And his broad jump and his vertical jump was also off the charts. They offered him a scholarship within a couple of days of him coming to camp. And then he didn't play that first season. He did play, but he wasn't targeted a single time that year. He did play some special teams, but we knew that he had blazing speed and we knew he could jump. What we didn't know is what his route running was like and how well he could catch a football, and he proved that last year. The guy high points a ball like Devin Tompkins, the Utah State receiver from a few years ago on that Mountain West Championship team that played that made the Tampa Bay Buccaneers active roster. Now he's on a different team now, but Jalen's taller. I mean, Devin Tompkins was 5'7". Jalen Royals is 6 foot, 6'1". He can high point a ball like that. They use the phrase at Utah State that he mossed another player because he high points the ball like Randy Moss did. So blazing speed, can high point a ball, and is played with a lot of confidence last year.
I'm going to look at their schedule because it turns into a gauntlet of death. Apparently, after Robert Morris, you get USC on September 7th, and then they host Utah, which is cool to see that. And then they go to the juggernaut of the city of brotherly love, and Jello, which is Temple. They haven't played Utah in a while, correct?
Yeah, not since 2013.
Gotcha. You cover the team. Is the vibe there a good one? And given the expectations, and may or may not be Kyle Whittingham's last year at Utah, Cam Rising is working on his second PhD. I shouldn't say anything. It took me forever in college, but Cam Rising's working on his second PhD, and I'm happy for him. I think, when you get hurt, you deserve that. But there's a lot of high hopes at Utah. And for them to kind of rejuvenate this rivalry, I mean, I'm sure when you think of Utah football, it's in a just Utah as a football as in the state as general. What I'm trying to say here is BYU and Utah, what was the Holy War. Are Utah State fans and Utah fans, University of Utah fans, excited that these two teams are playing again?
I think it varies from person to person. It's not. I don't think Utah fans dislike Utah State fans. I think sometimes Utah State fans don't like Utah fans that much, but I don't think there's not the level of hate, obviously, that there is between Utah and BYU, and frankly, Utah State and BYU. So, I don't know. I think people are excited. I mean, the last time the Aggies got to host the Utes, the Aggies beat them in overtime at Maverick Stadium, and Utah was in the Pac-12 at that time. So, and then they almost beat Utah the next year in Salt Lake City. Of course, Chucky Keaton was the quarterback at the time, and so those were some good Utah State teams. But I think there's definitely some intrigue. I know the Utah State fan base is going to view it as a good measuring stick because, I mean, there is a lot of hype in that Utah football program. They've been so good defensively for years now, and then Cam Rising is healthy this year, and they have a lot of returning production back on offense. And so, I mean, rightfully, I think I would expect them to be a good team. So, like a contender in the Big 12, good. So,
right, yeah, I think I think they were picked to win it. 16, 17-year-old me would punch me in the face right now. I'm very excited for Utah football this year, because when I was a fan, God, man, I hated those teams. When you look at the schedule, obviously, I mentioned what I call the gauntlet of death between USC and Utah. Temple, they're at Boise, and then Boise, and then UNLV. Then they get New Mexico, at Wyoming, Washington State, Hawaii, San Diego State, Colorado State. How do you? And it feels like UNM, where media it's closed off, and you're trying to report on the team, and there's a lot of uncertainty, but. What do you, and I hate asking this question, but I do it every time I have reporters on at the beginning of the season to preview, but what is your outlook? I mean, how can you see this Utah State team doing in the course of 2024?
Well, I really think if Spencer Petras is as good as everyone's making him out to be, I think this is going to be
as good as the Iowa punter.
Yeah, I mean, you got basically the offensive line needs to be better this year. They were definitely hit and miss last year, but basically all the starters are back. Plus, they've added a couple of P4 transfers to add depth to that offensive line. They did lose Micah Davis to the transfer portal, but he's their only major loss. So obviously the 30-day transfer portal opens once a coach is fired, and the Aggies have only lost 2 players, and one guy was buried on the depth chart. So that's I mean, I'm not going to say I'm too surprised, because by the time he was actually fired, it was official. I mean, rosters are intact at that point. It's not like people are holding, not many teams around the country have spots. And so I didn't think they were going to get pillaged, but still very encouraging that they only lost one really impact player. But I really do think their offense, as long as Petras is even just good, doesn't even have to be great. They have 2 good running backs. Jalen Royals is a stud. I think they're going to score a lot of points. Will they be better defensively? I'd like to think they would, because they were atrocious last year at the end of the season. And Nate Dreiling is a proven commodity as a defensive coordinator, which is he's still going to do. He will still coordinate the defense this year. But the schedule, I think, is significantly tougher than last year. So I really don't know. Honestly, I think they would be thrilled. I think people should be very happy if they win half their games this year and become bowl eligible.
You're like the second or third person I've talked to that covers teams in the Mountain West, and it's become a trend with the transfer portal. I don't know. But speaking of I don't know, you'll appreciate this story before I let you go. When I was working at CBS in New York, they cut to halftime, and it was Les Miles. I forgot who it was. It was Adam Zucker, and CBS was paying Les Miles to do halftime, and I forgot what game it was, and somebody was getting blown out, and they went to Adam Zucker live, and he was like, he looked at Les Miles. He goes, "Coach, what can so-and-so do better?" And I thought they're paying, the rumor was they were paying him $2 million a year to be on CBS college football on Saturdays. And Zucker said, "Well, Coach, what can they do better?" And he went, like this, "I don't know." And I thought, wow, they're paying you $2 million a year to go, "I don't know." So that was my takeaway from CBS Sport. Anyway, that's a terrible story.
No. That sounds a little bit like you're a dodgeball reference. Like, I talked to White Goodman last night, and he said his team really wants to win this one. It sounded like a dodgeball reference.
That's exactly right. Why? Is it? What does he say? Is it sane for me to drink my own urine? No, but it's sterile. And I like the taste.
No, but I do anyway. It's sterile, and I like the taste. That's what he says. I know
I do it anyway because it's sterile. I like the taste. And of course, everybody knows. I love it. I absolutely love it. He is the beat writer for the Logan, Utah Herald Journal, or the Herald Journal in Logan, Utah. His name is Mr. Jason Turner. I'll take you out on this. I appreciate your time as I play the Pirates of the Caribbean theme. It was a pleasure talking to you. You know I always appreciate your time. I'll have to wrap with you when UNM heads up to Logan this year. I hope to keep in touch. Thank you for your time as always.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Have a good night.
You too. Have a good night. All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and I will be back with Ryan Thorburn, Director of Communications and Creative Strategy for Wyoming Athletics. I hope I got that right. He used to be at the Casper, Wyoming newspaper. And we'll be talking Wyoming football. Quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Our head coach of our Lobo football program, Bronco Mental.
Details themselves with the right preparation can separate you from mediocre competitors that don't do that. And so, the attention to detail, I think, drives the execution, or should I say brings the execution to life, especially in critical moments.
him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
Welcome back to the Pit Press Live. We're going to continue talking Mountain West Conference football. I want to thank Jason Turner, covers Utah State football for the Logan Herald Journal up in Logan, Utah. We now move on to Wyoming football. Happy to have this gentleman on again. Last time I talked to him, I think he was at a different position, but now he is the Director of Communications and Creative Strategy for Wyoming Athletics. He's also got a great first name. His name is Ryan Thorburn. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ryan. What's going on?
Oh, same thing. I want to thank you on such short notice for joining me on our show tonight. So you now work, I guess I got to ask, and I didn't do my journalistic due diligence because I am in sales during the day, but you were at the Casper Star-Ledger right now and you work for the Wyoming Athletic Department. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, I left the newspaper business after 30 years. Now I'm basically the in-house reporter for Wyoming Athletics. So, I just create as much content as possible. Videos, podcasts, stories, doing a lot of the same things I used to do, but now actually working for the Wyoming Athletic Department.
You sound like a lot of guys that I know leaving the industry and probably for greener pastures. Congratulations, by the way. And as I always say, thank you for your time and on such short notice. I think the biggest news coming out of Wyoming camp this week is stud running back Harrison Whaley. He was a little loopy a Wednesday after undergoing a knee scope. He hurt his back. Excuse me. He hurt his knee on Saturday at a scrimmage. It looked a little fearful for first-year head coach Jay Savell. But doesn't sound like anything is season ending. Can you elaborate on that? Because he was a valuable asset to that Wyoming team last year.
Yeah, Harrison's going to be out for a while. I don't think the timeline is set yet. It depends, on his recovery. He had a scope today on his knee. But I tell you what, when he went down Saturday during the scrimmage, it did not look good. I really feared the worst for Harrison, maybe a season-ending situation, but fortunately for him, it wasn't. It was just a scare. Now, I don't think there's anything that you would consider to be a minor surgery, but in the scope of things, literally the scope, it's considered minor for football players. So hopefully he'll be back at some point this season. I would guess, maybe 4 games into the season, something like that. I know. I just know that they're going to be cautious with him because he is a senior. He does have, NFL talent, but yeah, it's bittersweet because at first I feared the worst, and unfortunately he will play for Wyoming this year at some point.
Well, that's good news for Wyoming fans. And if you enjoy Mountain West Conference football, obviously for that aspect. Craig Bull, who I met last year at Mountain West Conference Media Days, he was a joy to talk to, and he really gave me his opinion on NIL and the ever-changing world of college athletics in the landscape. He was a pleasure to talk to. 10 years, 6 of 7 bowl games, put a kibosh on the COVID year. Craig Ball did wonders at Wyoming. Now you have Jay Savell, and I believe he's one of his disciples. How is the first year transitioning for Coach Sawvell, and what kind of fingerprint did Craig Bowl leave on the Wyoming football program?
Yeah, I think Craig Bull's legacy, well, it's a number of things. First of all, he stabilized the program, and I think that's the main thing. I think for a decade, you could pretty much count on Wyoming to win between 6 and 9 games just about every year, go to a bowl game. Unfortunately for Craig, in that decade, they didn't win a Mountain West championship, which was his ultimate goal. They did play for it with Josh Allen. They flirted with it the next year until Josh Allen was injured for a few games. They've been in the hunt the last couple years, but just had some road stumbles against the best teams. So I think stability is number one. And then when he passes the baton to Jay Sawvell, that theme kind of continued because this day and age, as you know, if there's a coaching change, usually there's a long line to get into the transfer portal. That was not the case at Wyoming. I think Jay Sawvell really only lost one player to the portal that he was counting on and wanted to be on the team. So pretty stable roster. Jay described it as a fully developed roster. It's a developmental program, but this particular team is developed.
That's exciting to hear because I don't think many people will say this, but I will say this. I think when Wyoming football is good, it's probably good for college football in the Mountain West. And I think War Memorial, I've never been, but I think War Memorial Stadium's probably, I don't know, I'm probably getting in trouble saying underrated, but I think it's a very special place and it has its lineage in the history of college football. I hope I pronounced his last name right because that's all I've been doing all week is butchering names. Not like mine's any easier to say, but Evan Svoboda is the quarterback. He's wearing number 17, just like Josh Allen. He's 6'5", 245 pounds. He started for Texas last year, and he had a game-winning drive in the Barstool, Arizona Bowl. What are his expectations near? And that sounds like that build is a starting quarterback.
Yeah, I've been telling people this. I mean, you don't want to compare anybody to Josh Allen because he's a unique unicorn in Wyoming history. But this kid, like you mentioned, has the same measurables, the same number, and can make similar throws. It's just a matter of fine tuning this wild cannon of an arm and getting it under control. I think you see the Josh Allen type spectacular. But I think what Evan's working on right now is the consistency. If he can make the easy throws, I think they're going to really have a balanced offense for a change. And we saw, like you mentioned, glimpses last year at Texas was his first career start in front of 100,000 against a playoff team. He showed a lot of poise in that game. It was 10-10 going into the fourth quarter. And then Texas kind of erupted with, their speed taking over and some explosion plays. But I think a lot of people are excited because of the fact that he has developed behind Andrew Peasley for a couple of years. You remember famously when the transfer portal first started, Wyoming lost 2 quarterbacks to the portal after the Potato Bowl following the 2021 season. And Wyoming, essentially, Craig Bowl put out an advertisement on social media saying, help wanted at QB. That got a lot of attention nationally, both positive and kind of making fun of the situation. But that advertisement netted Andrew Peasley transferring in from Utah State and Evan Svoboda transferring in from Snow College. And it's looking like a home run so far. Andrew, I think, won 16 games as a starter in 2 seasons and just threw a touchdown for the New York Jets the other night. And Evan Svoboda, really a bright future, and he has a lot of nice pieces around him. So there's high expectations internally for this kid.
I was just about to Andrew where Peasley was because I thought he was an NFL talent. And I think if you paid close attention to college football this year, obviously that big win over Texas Tech to start the game. Wyoming was picked to finish 6th. And then I just happened to talk to Jason Turner from Logan talking about Utah State. Preseason polls mean, they mean diddly, but it's something on guys like you and I that get to vote or would have a vote. But do you feel that amongst the media members is maybe right where they should be?
I feel like that's where the media picks Wyoming every single season. It's where they were picked last year, where they're picked this year. I mean, they won 9 games and they returned just about everyone on defense, everyone on the offensive line, except Frank Crum. Uh, they'll have Harrison Whaley eventually. They have 3 other running backs that are really good. I mean, they have a team that's just as good, if not better, than last year when they won 9 games. So, Jay Savell told Jordan Bertinoli and Harrison Whaley, the 2 guys that went down to Mountain West Media Day in Las Vegas, before they left, he said, "You guys are going to be picked 5th or 6th. Don't worry about it. Don't complain about it. We'll use that internally like we always do." So I don't think anyone's mad or anything like that. It is what it is. I mean, they get it. If you're a media member, you look and say, okay, new starting quarterback, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, new head coach. You're not going to pick that team to win the Mountain West or anything like that. So I think they get it. I think they are a work in progress as far as all those different things I just mentioned, getting on the same page. But I will tell you, they had a great offseason. I know every team says that, but there was a lot of gains in terms of weight added. They had, I believe, like 16 players registered 22 miles an hour this summer with the GPS. So this team, like I said, it's developed. Wyoming has that history of putting guys that were lightly recruited, or even some walk-ons into the NFL. So a lot of these guys are ready to take that next step, and they're not worried about the ranking because they know they have to prove it, especially on the road. That's where they were poor last year. They were 7-0 at home. They beat Texas Tech at home. They beat App State at home. They beat Fresno State at home when they were in first, being ranked. But it was the road. They really stumbled at UNLV with a poor start and really didn't show up at Boise State, and that's why they weren't in the Mountain West Championship.
How do you, and Easton Gibbs is now with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I believe, in fall camp. He was preseason last year, Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Year. How do you replace a linebacker of that caliber?
Well, his running mate the past couple of years, Shea Suianoa, moves over from the weak side to the middle linebacker. I think he's one of these rare 6-year guys that we're running out of. He'll be one of the last ones at Wyoming. One of these 6-year seniors who had the COVID year and a redshirt year and will end up playing 4 years. So he's basically been Wyoming's second leading tackler from the weak side the last 2 years playing next to Gibbs. And I think the main factor why he came back for the extra year was to play the middle linebacker position at Wyoming because the last 3 are in the NFL right now. Logan Wilson, and then Chad Muma, and then Easton Gibbs. All 3 are in the NFL. So I think Shea is thinking if he does what they did, and he certainly has the knowledge of the defense and the physical tools, that he'll get a good look at the NFL next year.
Jordan Bertinoli, probably one of the top, if not the top, one of the top defensive tackles in the country, or in the Mountain West, and maybe in the country. Senior leader. What do you expect out of him? Is he poised to have a big year for this Wyoming defense that was pretty stout last year?
Yeah, if you remember last year, they had Frank Crum on the offensive line, a guy from Laramie who grew into, a Paul Bunyan-sized left tackle for Wyoming. He's with the Denver Broncos right now, and he was from Laramie High School, and he really pushed the young offensive line that they had last year and made sure that they were good and didn't hold him back his senior year. You're seeing a similar thing from Jordan Bertinoli, who's now one of these super seniors from Casper, Wyoming. They have some really talented guys on the defensive line, especially in the interior, but those guys are young, and he's pushing them really hard not to be a weak link on a defense where, they go 5 deep on the defensive ends. I mentioned Shea Suianoa up the middle. Their secondary has Wyatt Eckler and Isaac White, who've played about 2,000 snaps together at Wyoming at the safety spots. Rook Brown, who's just a playmaker at the nickel, and They think Tyrekus Davis is going to be one of the best cornerbacks in the Mountain West. So if Burton Ole can get these young defensive tackles that are basically redshirt freshmen, redshirt sophomores, but are just as big as him, if he can get them in the right spots and filling the right gaps, which is a big if because they're young guys, but then the defense really has no weak spots. So I think Jordan Burton only came back to finish what Frank Crum nearly got finished, which was to get back to the Mountain West championship game. That's why Burton only came back, and if he stays healthy, that's another guy that could be getting paid next year.
You look at I'm pretty excited to watch this defensive unit. Again, third in the Mountain West in total yards last year. You look at their schedule, and I know I'm giving you the cliche couple questions to end your time out here. We're joined by Ryan Thorburn, Director of Communications and Creative Strategy for Wyoming Athletics now. At Arizona State, then they host Iowa, BYU, at North Texas, then you get into the Mountain West schedule. I was just talking Utah State football, which is their first, their second and third game is like a gauntlet of death. And then they get Boise and UNLV, who are 1-2, in my opinion, interchangeable in the Mountain West Conference this year. But this schedule favors, this non-conference schedule seems pretty favorable to them. Then they get Air Force, San Diego State, go to San Jose State, get Utah State. November 2nd, they'll be in Albuquerque, then at Colorado State, then they host Boise State and Washington State. How do you feel? This is a 9-win team from last year. Is this and we were just jokingly talking about, though, they're always picked fifth or sixth, but do you feel this schedule favors them, especially with all the things that we've just talked about in regards to the defense and what they bring back on offense?
Yeah, I'm not predicting that Wyoming is going to go to the college football playoff, but that is a thing now. That is a thing now for the best
Right.
group of 5 champion. And if you want to be one of those, I think this sets up beautifully because Arizona State is still a Power 4 team, I guess. They're in the Big 12 now. They're picked last in the Big 12. So I think Wyoming believes, and they have not shifted the focus out of camp towards the Sun Devils yet, but just speaking as, a media type person, I can look ahead. They can't. But Arizona State is a beatable Power 4 team. Washington State at the end of the season is a beatable Power 4 team. BYU at home, their most bitter rival from the 60s through the 90s, comes to Laramie, and they're not picked very high in the Big 12. That's so just hypothetically, if you're a group of 5 team and you could knock off 3 Power 5 teams, that goes pretty high up on your resume. And then the other thing that I like about the schedule is the Mountain West has this scheduling agreement with the remaining Pac-2, which means most of the Mountain West teams, or maybe all of them, play either Washington State or Oregon State, which means there's only 7 conference games, which means some teams have 3 home conference games, some have 4. Wyoming has 4, and not only that, the big dogs come to Laramie: Air Force, Boise State, and Wyoming. The Border Wars in Fort Collins, but that game being the rivalry that it is, it really doesn't matter if it's Fort Collins or Laramie. It's going to be a doozy usually. So I think it sets up beautifully. Now they have to go out and do it. But I think if a Mountain West champion were to pick off 3 Power 4 teams, that team would have a legitimate chance at the college football playoff. Boise State, similar situation, although, at Oregon certainly is a much, much more impressive game to play than what Wyoming's got. But and they get the Pac-12 teams. They get both of those remaining teams. But, yeah, that's how you have to do it. And I think there's several Mountain West teams that have those opportunities, and maybe Wyoming's opponents are a little more realistic to knock off.
Now, looking at that schedule, that you have sort of made a believer out of Wyoming football for me, because I know they're always a tough out, and War Memorial, I've always heard I would love to get up to Laradice at some point to see a game there. His name is Ryan Thorburn. He is now the Director of Communications and Creative Strategy for Wyoming Athletics. I'm going to tell you again, sir, thank you last minute for joining us tonight. I have always appreciated your time, and I will probably bug you the week of November 2nd, and I'll probably see you down here on Saturday, November 2nd. His name's Ryan Thorburn. As always, sir, thank you for your time.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Happy to talk Mountain West football anytime.
Love it. Hey, you have a great Thursday night. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk soon. Appreciate Ryan Thorburn there. It was awesome to hear from him. He knows a lot about Wyoming football. I've talked to him several times. He always jumps on when I reach out to him. I hit him up today and he was like, no problem, man. So I appreciate it. Quick commercial break. It's just me tonight. So Jimmy H and Stephen Dubois. You got me. I'm going to read some comments and then give you some more information on what we're doing. This is the Pit Press Live, and my name is Ryan Tamori. No Richard, no Eric, no more Ed, no Nick, not even Jacob Neff. I'll be right back.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
Our head coach of our Lobo football program, Bronco Mental.
The details themselves with the right preparation can separate you from mediocre competitors that don't do that. And so, yeah, the attention to detail, I think, drives the execution, or should I say brings the execution to life, especially in critical moments.
Shawty, she calling me MVP. I be on time, it's something you ain't never seen before. They call me the Dama, really want my whole team to score. Damn, yeah, too icy, yeah, too clean, yeah, my zone, yeah, 2-3, yeah, got shooters that hit from deep, bust like Giannis, yeah, too mean. Bright lights like we at the garden on P. Don't even started, whole team walk through me to party. If I can't make the play, I'ma lob it. If you jump, that's right on your head. Had to put him to sleep, go to bed. I'm a star, drop 50 and left. From the logo, like I'm Steph. Put it up, knock him down every time. Going hard like my life on the line. Catch me on the course, I would've down. Never losing, I put it on mine. Had to get on my shell, I've been laying low. They get red when it comes to the playoffs. You fight with me, no one's a KO.
Welcome back to the Pit Press Live. My name is Ryan Tamori. I am Eric Moultonless tonight. I am Richard Thompsonless tonight. Richard. Didn't have the volume all the way up on my mixer. Sorry about that. Ed Nunez joined me earlier. We were giving our thoughts on everybody that we've talked to, ex-players, UNM football players who were there for Bronco. If you've watched the show the last month, Landrick Brody, Ian Clark, Ben Wysong, Cole McCamey, Landrick Brody, Curtis Flakes II, head coach of your St. Pius X Sartans, not St. Pius X. I'm going to get to some of the comments here. Kind of a little bit of a lackluster show tonight. It's been a long week, but really, really appreciate everybody watching. I'm running on fumes. I was super energetic last night. I also had like an entire, I had an extra large Dunkin' Donuts coffee. We want to thank Affordable Service Heating, Plumbing, and Air Conditioning. They meet all of your HVAC needs in the Albuquerque and the Rio Rancho area. They've been in business in Nuevo Mexico for more than 35 years. During that time, they have served more than 40,000 customers, providing complete residential and light commercial HVAC services, including heating and cooling, electrical, as well as plumbing. They take pride in their staff and their commitment to our community and in creating satisfied customers with every project. Check out Affordable Service Heating and Plumbing. Let me alter my screen there. Let me get to the comments. Much thanks to Jason Turner, Ryan Thorburn, both cover their respective teams in the towns that they live in, Utah State University and the University of Wyoming. John Romero. John, how you doing tonight? Awesome insight into Wyoming football. Many thanks to Mr. Thorburn. I am looking forward so much in listening to upcoming Las Cruces Sun News reporter. Need to learn more on what is going on down south. I keep forgetting the head coach, Tony Sanchez. I keep wanting to call him Tony Gonzalez. It was no disrespect to them. David Fresquez. No Met shirt on tonight, man. They've lost to the A's twice. Unacceptable. Stephen Dubois. I don't know what you're talking about. Joe Burrow is a better thing to say, or Sam Darnold over Allen. Both of them, I don't really recognize Josh Allen. Josh Allen is Stoney Case to me. I don't think Stoney Case got the Buffalo Bills to an AFC title game. Ed and Ronnie went to the Broncos training camp today, got face-to-face with Patrick Surtain, PS2, Patrick Surtain II, and Jonah Ellis. Those dudes were built in the lab as big as they are running out there, but I'm locked in room ready for the show. I hope to God not, but we appreciate that. Where are they, Ronnie? It's not, it used to be, everything used to be outside Denver. Like the Giants used to be in Albany. The Cardinals used to be in Flagstaff. They don't do that anymore. I forgot where they always used to be in Denver. Love me some bow and arrow. What else we got? Yeah, went to Isleta Casino to place a bet on UNM to cover against Montana State, but the game is not listed on their sports book. So no, you cannot bet on NMSU or UNM in the state at the casinos that have sports betting. I don't know why the rule is, but you can't bet on hometown teams. I think Vegas is different. I think you can. Obviously, you have to be able to bet on the Raiders. It's the NFL and the NHL and UNLV. But here, I don't know what the reason is. They just don't place wagers because you can alter the game. And there was that rumor of UNLV and UNM last year that there was a fix in. So that was a little, I mean, it can raise some concerns, but, you know, I got to go to my main man. It's been a while.
Mr. Hutz, why are you burning all your personal papers?
As of this moment, Lionel Hutz no longer exists. Say hello to Miguel Sanchez.
I've missed you.
Miguel Sanchez.
I don't think you can bet on I don't think you can bet on any NM teams in an NM casino. No, you can't. Again, I don't know why. Where's Jalen House nowadays? Didn't he join Europe basketball or something? He was in the summer league and committed 9 fouls. That is why I don't watch the summer league. I know that sounds very petty. I watched soccer. I watched the Euro. I watched Copa America and the Euro League final, or Euro, over the NBA Summer League. And people say college basketball sucks. Holy shit. Have you watched the NBA Summer League? They just throw those guys together. There's no camaraderie. There's no chemistry. I don't know. It's terrible to watch. Last he was on the Celtics Summer League team, but he did have 19 points in that game. That he had 9 fouls. I'm sorry, David Fresquez. Bo Nix, yes. I was hoping that the Giants were going to take him because I was going to get a jersey with capital B-O and then lowercase N-E-R, Nix. But I think he's going to be a stud. I'm a Penix guy. I am not a Caleb Williams fan, not for any of the reasons that he paints his nails. He's a talent, but some of those guys flame out. I'm not trying to be a hater. It's just my opinion, because there's definitely talent there, and they have loaded the weapons around him with Roma Dunze, who I loved, and I'm a Michael Penix guy. Desmond Howard, big Penix energy. That was one of the most cringeworthy things on television in the last year, at least that I witnessed live. No, man, I'm all about Bo Nix. I think he's going to be really good. When the Broncos took him, I thought they struck gold. No pun intended, Denver fan. I'm looking forward to watching him. I think he's the starter over Milf Hunter, or excuse me, Coug Hunter. That is Zach Wilson, who New York, New Jersey wasn't the best place for him. So, no Eli Manning. Next week, we will be live Thursday at Turquoise Desert Tap Room. It is on 528 Bernalillo, that intersection. Hop, skip, and jump away, as I always say, from Santa Ana Star Casino. Go make a bet there. Don't listen to what I say because you'll lose. Head over to Turquoise Desert Tap Room, grab a beer on tap, get some food. We will be giving away 2 season tickets to all 5 Lobo home games. Where is it? Here we go. Those are the TNT games. August 24th against Montana State, which will be 2 days later. September 24th again. Geez, that was another comment I was telling Eric today. Eric Malton, my business partner, who's on here with us. They literally have a month gap in between home games because they have 2 bye weeks in there, or 1 bye week. But Montana State, Fresno State, Air Force on October 12th, November 2nd is Wyoming, and November 16th I won't be here. I will be in New Jersey. I will be going to the St. John's game. So looking forward to that. So all 5 of those home games, August 24th, September 21st, October 12th, November 2nd, November 16th. I will say this. If you are actually a Mountain West Conference football fan, like I had Colby Dant on last night from the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He hosts the college football experience and the college basketball experience. He was fantastic to talk to. Funny guy, stand-up comic. I can die a happy man. I made a stand-up comic laugh in Las Vegas. Between Fresno, Air Force, Wyoming, and Wazoo, Wazoo is a new thing in this ever-changing college football basketball world with conference realignment. Those are actually 3 quality home Mountain West Conference games, but damn, are they spread out? Holy moly, that's insane. So yeah, there's your Lobo football schedule. And again, that San Diego State game is no longer on November 9th. It is now November 8th. Same night as the UCLA men's basketball game against UNM. The Las Cruces Sun News reporter were efforting Victor Flores from 406 Sports, 406 Montana Sports. He covers Montana State and Montana. Looking forward to talking to him. He recently sat down with Craig Kilborn, who I did not know went to Montana State. So that is very, very cool. Efforting him, and then, of course, the new kid that is at the Las Cruces Sun News, and I have done him a disservice all week because I have forgotten his name, and I am running on fumes trying to post the show. Nicholas Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola. Nicholas Coppola is going to join us next week as well. He is the new reporter covering Aggie athletics and probably some UTEP down at the Las Cruces Sun News. Dontrell Moore next week. Victor Flores. Nicholas Coppola. We're efforting Glover Quinn. We're efforting other players. That's who we've got on tap next week. I'd say the highlight is, no disrespect to any of those guys, so when you say disrespect, you're disrespecting them, is Dontrell Moore. I always love talking to Dontrell. He was great. If you haven't seen our interviews with former players, you can go to our YouTube channel at the Pit Press NM. Cole McCamey was Tuesday night. Or was it last night? I forgot. I don't know. My days are all jumbled together. He was on with us this week. You can go to our YouTube channel, check that out. Yeah, it was Tuesday night because we had him. Last night was St. Pius X head coach of our Sartans, Rick and I, and Nick Nunez as Sartans. Last night, he joined us. Andrew Baus from Andrew's college football tour, which Stephen Dubois had the biggest problem with, even though the guy is efforting to come here and see a football game, which is why we had him on. And then Colby Dant. Much thanks to Jason Turner and Ryan Thorburn. See, I can't even remember what I did like 5 seconds ago. We will be back Saturday morning with the Morning Howl. That is our UNM college football, our UNM football pregame show. So check us out every Saturday at 9 a.m. We'll figure out what we're going to do for that double whammy on November 8th when UNM is at San Diego State for football, and then UNM plays UCLA basketball. I'm repeating myself. We appreciate everybody that has listened. Check us out on Twitter. X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, at the Pit Press NM. Follow us on Instagram at the Pit Press NM. Email us at thepitpressnm@gmail.com. And check out our YouTube channel. Please hit like and subscribe. Where did that go? I'm crashing and burning tonight. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Appreciate everybody listening. We appreciated all of our guests. Big thanks to them. Hopefully Ned James will join us Saturday morning. I am going the Morning Howl. I am going to give my top 25 for the season. I don't really care about polls other than if it's a top 25 matchup, because I guess it means more. Want to do that. Want to give kind of some of my All-Americans and maybe my All-Mountain West Conference team. I mean, I look at everything. I don't have a vote. I'm hoping to get a vote in that as we build this thing. But it should be fun, so more people can yell at me and bash me in the comments. I love it. Bring it all day. Eric, you do a great job with all the video stuff. Rick, I miss your sarcasm tonight and your intelligent insight. Ed and Nick will be back. Ed and Nick Nunez will all be on Saturday morning. And essentially, man, we're 72 hours from game week. And another thing is the UNM Fall Press Conference used to be on Tuesdays for years and years. Apparently that has changed. So they don't care about women's soccer or volleyball. Those will be on Monday now. So even though tomorrow is Friday and game week is next week, apparently UNM Athletic Media Relations Department has communicated that. We'll find out. There's my one shot at them tonight. But we will have Gloria Navarez on the Morning Howl, Mountain West Commissioner, hopefully Ned James, and then we'll replay the Gloria Navarez interview on Tuesday night as well. My name is Ryan Tamori. Appreciate everybody bearing with me and my exhaustion tonight. Thanks to Jason Turner, Ryan Thorburn, Ed Nunez. We will talk to you on Saturday morning with our UNM football pregame show, The Morning How. Everybody have a good Thursday night and your Friday.
Our head coach of our Lobo football program, Bronco Mental.
Details themselves with the right preparation can separate you from mediocre competitors that don't do that. And so, yeah, the attention to detail, I think, drives the execution, or should I say brings the execution to life, especially in critical moments.